Brandon, what did you think happened in the second quarter? You had a pretty decent lead, and then they just seemed to go away pretty quickly. What did you feel happened in the game there?
I think, I had some turnovers. They're obviously number one in the league in scoring. Tyrese and TJ do a good job of pushing the ball, on makes or misses, and I think that kind of affected us. Just even off makes, they were kind of scoring back at us, and then, obviously we don't play as fast as them, so it kind of makes you have to make shots, and if you don't, and they, are pushing it back at you, it becomes tough, and that's how you get the 8-0, 10-0 runs.
Steve had mentioned that he felt you guys got out-competed for a little bit of a stretch there. Did you feel that as well, and where did that come from?
Yeah, I think so. I feel like we kind of caved in a little bit. Things obviously didn't go our way necessarily, from a shooting standpoint collectively. But I just feel like we got to do a better job of controlling the things we can, which I think we didn't do that tonight.
Brandon, do you find you guys were seemed like you guys got a little either kind of out of sorts a little bit too? It looked like you guys were rushing a lot of your shots and your passes.
Yeah, I think, when we do a good job of, when we don't have anything in transition and we kind of just fall into action. I feel like when we are organized and our spacing's right, like it was last game against Memphis, we're able to play better collectively and individually. Our percentages are up. And I think tonight, like you said, a little bit more rushed, not in a our spacing was bad, and that's how you get 111 points only.
Now you're 2 games ahead of Houston, which is winning like crazy. Do you see them? Do you feel now, okay, now we just got to protect 10? Is that too low a bar in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's too low. I mean, going to every game, you just want to win that game. Regardless, you can't control other people's outcomes, but you can control your own. And I think, we're still chasing that 7-8, trying to get to 6. I mean, I think we got 14 games left, 13. So we're just going to try to win as many as we can. And, wherever the chips fall, they fall, and we'll play whoever.
You had 13 points tonight. Obviously, the ball was going in. Previous few games, you hadn't scored much. I asked Kerr before the game. He goes, I don't want Brandon to change anything. He's doing just fine. In your mind, are you thinking you can score a little bit more? Was tonight more of what you feel like you should be doing, can be doing?
Do I think I can? Yes. But I think what's being asked of me is just, kind of just shoot when you're open. Late shot clock, make a play. Tonight I was open. They left me open, and I shot the ball. But, I may get 8 shots tonight, and I may get 0 next game. Just kind of how the game falls, and, like I said, controlling things I can control.
Halliburton hits a 3 to close the second and third in 3-second possessions. How killer are those 6 points?
It definitely hurts going in halftime and start the fourth quarter. He's a good player. Good players make tough shots, but, those, like you said, they're kind of demoralizing. And coming in, he's in a big shooting slump, and now he goes 4 for 8 against us. I feel like that's kind of been a theme for other teams. They're struggling, and then somebody gets hot against us. So just trying to figure that out and, win some games.
Speaking of winning some games, though, you guys have gone 1 and 2 in each of your last 2 homestands. I mean, how frustrating is that when you know what you guys need to do and you're not able to execute?
Yeah, it's really frustrating, especially in front of the home fans that do so much for us. It's kind of the opposite of last year. We're better on the road than at home, and last year was opposite. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to see the fans' faces after we lose. But yeah.
Looking forward to being on the road, given that you guys have been better on the road this year?
For sure. I feel like when we're on the road, we get to spend a lot of time with each other because it's just us. So we get to do a lot of things collectively. Obviously, when people are at home, we all have families and stuff like that. So, we're looking forward to, I think it's 5 games on the road. We're getting some high-quality teams. So just looking to win as much as we can on the road.
I know you're going to remain optimistic, but does a game like this shake you a little bit, or do you feel like, okay, I can explain it and things are still okay?
No, it sucks. Before you go on a long road trip, an opportunity to protect your home court. We talked about that so many times, and we didn't do it. played decent in the first half. They went on a run to end second quarter, took control of the game, and then we were kind of chasing from there. They made every timely play. I think the second half I got a little rushed in certain situations when we were down, trying to force the action a little bit. I think because of I don't know if it was a lack of energy or just connecting the game, those kind of possessions just feed right into their hands, and they're a fast-paced team, and you know that coming in, and you can't give them that many or that much momentum in life, especially they're capable of scoring at a high level. So a tough one for sure, but there are plenty of games left to right the ship. It's just a matter of can we do it.
Curry, you mentioned that maybe, you guys just got out-competed there for a while. Does that bother you that at this point in the season, we all know how important these games are, we all know how you guys are playing at home this season, that you can get out-competed by a team like that?
I mean, the NBA, like every game, takes a different life of its own. So for us to win, I think most nights it's pretty clear. Just you're not going to overwhelm them with execution and that kind of vibe. And we always talk about us in the margins. Like if you don't play hard, if you don't come with like focused effort, you can just run around and run crazy. But if you don't actually execute and do the details, especially defensively, giving them easy looks from three, giving them driving lanes, giving them offensive rebounds, that is where it could you could give effort, but you're not focused mentally. So that's disappointing, in terms of the effort that we had tonight.
You guys, you kept them in check in the fourth quarter and got it down to 7 last couple of minutes. The margin for error was probably pretty slim, but what did you make of the late game execution?
There's a couple shots I got blocked shooting threes. We had a couple turnovers, a couple empty possessions, and then, at that point you're counting possessions and they get one layup or 1 3 or 1 second chance point, changes the whole narrative of trying to come back. So, we lost it end of the second, pretty much halfway through the third, where, like Tim said, they out hustled us, out competed us. If that's bad grammar, but disappointing night all the way around.
We've seen Kuminga have all these really strong games, and now he goes 4 for 17 against this team. What do you tell him? What do you tell him as it's going? Do you like that he kept putting shots up even in a tough shooting night?
We tell him, we tell Wiggs, like we need them to be aggressive. It gives us a whole different dynamic when they are, running in transition, when they're, putting pressure on the rim, taking shots when they're open. You're going to have tough shooting nights. That happens to everybody. It happened to me tonight. So you don't really necessarily focus in on that. It's just the same thing way I diagnose my game, like shot selection and a couple possessions that you could probably get a better one feeds right into their hands. So good learning lessons and how well we all played, and he especially last game to this game. Now you have to respond. That's the job.
What do you feel like the collective inconsistency has been rooted in this season?
Once again, I wish I knew, because then we could be able to get ahead of it. But every game is a little something different, so it's not a great position to be in, especially when every game matters and every game counts, and there needs to be a sense of urgency in how we finish, this last stretch of games. I wish I knew, though.
Steph, you mentioned this already a little bit, but how was Indiana able to come back down 12? I mean, you guys looked like you had control of the game when you were up 60-48, and as you mentioned, they took control of the game, towards that middle of that second quarter, probably capped off by that Halliburton 3 right before halftime.
Honestly, I was trying to think like that 4 or 5 minute stretch, I can't recall how they scored. Or like what the patterns were. I'll have to go later watch the film to see. It was just a total momentum shift, and you could see like the life came out of us a little bit. And then that dagger three, Big Mo, as my college coach used to call it, going into in the halftime. There's a carryover effect to that too. So like they had all the confidence in the world going into the locker room. We were reeling a little bit, and we didn't respond in the second half. So we got outscored by 15 in the third quarter, so that probably didn't help.
And a quick follow-up, can you guys also say that when you look at the homestands, the last two homestands, you guys went 1 and 2. I mean, even just getting that one extra win could have kind of made a big difference for you guys if you go 2 and 1 in those homestands.
For sure, that's the math of it, but I mean, that's gonna sting because you know you missed huge opportunities to build true momentum and kind of settle yourself in the standings a little bit. It just presents more issues of how we need to, bounce back, whether we're going to be playing for something in a couple of weeks or not, because, nothing's guaranteed. And I think we have enough pride to bounce back, and I think we want it bad enough. And gotta go show it.
Steph, a couple questions for you. You've been through this, what Kuminga's going through. How difficult is it when the other team kind of recognizes you as one of the top scorers and now they seem to take you away? Like, it feels like they had a plan for what to do with Kuminga. Do you feel like that's where he is in his career?
It's a natural evolution of as you climb the ladder in the league and become a guy that's not just on the scout report now, but probably the second person they talk about when they're going through personnel, and you have more film on you, more your tendencies, so they're going to game plan, and that's the challenge of continuing to be efficient and effective night after night. He's more than capable. We've seen plenty of young guys. JP had to go through it a couple of years ago. You got to embrace the challenge of it, and the IQ of seeing what they're doing, how they're adjusting, and having counters for it, and not second guessing yourself. Yeah, he's more than capable of it. He might have nights like tonight, and that's fine because that's the growth and the learning experience. But he's shown enough over the course of this last 2/3 of the season that he's that dude, and nothing really shake him. I think coming game after game in terms of him being ready to play.
Do you think it impacts you, or how does it impact you that there isn't a consistent place to go when you're not, or they're taking you off the ball, you're not going? Is it any different than if you had somebody next to you who's an automatic 30, or that it could be this guy that night? Does that impact you at all, that it's kind of based on how you guys are playing and who you got it going?
That's the challenge of this team because we've had inconsistencies on that front, and I'm never going to shy away from my responsibility when it comes to playing well every night. I didn't play well tonight. Didn't play a smart enough basketball game that could counter some of that pressure and try to make it easy on guys around me. But our challenge for this team is to understand how we play offense and how we create shots. Everybody be aggressive and ready. You don't know. It's hard because you don't know if you're going to get in the starting lineup. You don't know if you're going to get 8 shots or 15 shots or 20. Every once in a while. But being ready, being aggressive, not playing on your heels. For us, that's when we're at our best. We haven't always done it, so that's why we have been inconsistent. That's why our record is what it is. But the top end of how we play and when it's clicking, it's still a potent offense. You just gotta be there's got to be a solid chemistry between everybody, and when it's not, it looks like it did tonight.
Steph, the way they amped up their physicality in that third quarter, did that maybe kind of get in your guys' heads a little bit, and it seemed like there was a domino effect with the turnovers and the missed shots there?
Yeah, I guess they controlled the momentum going into halftime and coming out in the second half. Sometimes you feel like you lost. It's weird, like you lost the game because you beat yourself, or did they out hustle out, execute you, and it was more of that tonight. So, still feels the same in terms of the outcome and how we feel leaving the building. But they played a great game in that stretch that really changed the entire momentum, and we never responded.
Steph, I'm curious, even beyond tonight, as you know, scoring around the league is down in the second half of the season. The officiating is a big part of that. You have one free throw tonight. I think your numbers in particular, you've always, not necessarily gotten the calls and gotten to the line, and I think you've had a downtick in the second half of the year. What are you seeing on that front these past couple of months, and do you feel the kind of the real difference in the way the whistle is going?
You definitely felt a difference on the whole, and that's on both sides of the ball. The LA game was kind of the one that was, our history of the free throw disparity when you play them, and it was a different tone for sure. I've never really gotten calls, and I don't ever go into the game really worrying about that. From my recollection, it's probably been maybe 3 or 4 over the last 2 weeks where you expect a call to be a certain way just off of the patterns of the league and what used to be called, and you're kind of shaking your head when you don't get it. It's at the end of the day, as long as I always say, as long as it's consistent on both sides, like we'll adjust. It's when it's ticky tack on one side and super, or they swallow the whistles on the other side. So I think for the most part, it's been pretty consistent. We just can adjust to it, but probably asking the wrong guy when it comes to what that really looks like from the night-to-night standpoint.
Maybe if you made a name for yourself, you get a few calls.
Say what?
I said maybe if you made a name for yourself, you get a few
Yeah,
calls.
I'm still working on that.
Do you, real quick follow, are you getting any updated explanations from the refs on, hey, Steph, like this is a point of emphasis and here's why this is not a foul anymore? Because they were kind of given a reshaping of some of the rules.
The only thing that I get in situations, there's one tonight that I thought was a clear foul, like when they have to kind of be the judge on when the release of a jump shot and when you can complete the release and if there's contact. Maybe a couple of years ago, if there was any contact on it, whether it was, when you had the ball in your hands or just after, they would call it. They've moved off of that a good amount, and now it's kind of, I think there's been a couple on the extreme end of clear contact that changes and alters the shot, but other than that, hasn't been much conversation or like a warning of, hey, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and it's going to feel different. It's just you adapt to the tone of the game, and they've been really consistent with it since the All-Star break for sure.